Assalamualaikum and hi Dr. Farina. So today we are going to discuss about the sustainable engineering assignment regarding on the survey of the use of electric cars versus the fossil fuel-based cars in Malaysia. So this short question survey is conducted to analyze the behavior of the Malaysian on the use of these electric cars. So overall we have 16 questions that we already distributed that mostly contain the multiple choice answers and also the short opinion. So, I am Nashruha. KII 160019 will start with the introduction. So first of all, let's take a look at the outline of the presentation. So at the first section, we will discuss about the background analysis where the basic question of the social background were asked to each of respondent that exclude any personal information. Next, Hani's letter will explain the analysis of the fossil fuel-based car on their awareness about the few statements regarding to the issues. So on the third session, analysis of electric vehicle will be discussed further by the Kamaria and continued by the Farsha on the factors of the purchasing electric vehicles that should be considered by the respondents. And last but not least, on the conclusion part, Sohana will conclude all the results of the survey. There are total 110 respondents that participate in the survey, where there's quite equal distribution of gender, where 51.8% of them were female. This survey also looks into several races, such as Malay, Indian, Chinese, and the others, but most of them were Malay. This could be seen that mostly respondents have degree as their highest education. The significance of knowing this studies background is to compare the knowledge of the electric cars technology with the current situation that also leads to sustainability acknowledgement. This survey also achieved quite range of ages. As you can see, there are younger than 25 until 51 and older, so that we can compare the opinion from the different stage of the age. Nevertheless, we also ask for the income range to identify whether income could affect their preference of the cars. Okay, let's continue. So, based on the survey, we detect that 2 of the respondents are currently using the hybrid car and the rest are still using the fossil fuel-based car, with none of them are using electric cars yet. So, as we know that hybrid car is a combination technology that powered by the petrol engine and electric motor. This is combination technology. Okay, we then ask them on how frequent they fill their tank on weekly basis. This is before the MCO started, and the result shows that 48.2% of them will fill their tank only once in a week, and one of them will fill every day. This question is significant to know how crucial the usage of the petrol in transportation, such as for the works and for the others. However, there are drawbacks of this survey, which is we did not declare exactly how much ringgit Malaysia per liter for each filling. So we do not know exactly how amount they are purchasing for each respondent. Right, so we also asked about the status and dependence as such a hypothesis that it will affect the pattern on the fuel filling. In the scenario that a married couple and having a kids should use more fuel for transportation, as they have as much responsibilities to go many places compared to the single one. However, the result shows differently because their status does not significantly relate on how much they use fuels per week. As I said earlier, the drawback is that we not declare exactly the amount on the petrol purchasing. That's why we cannot relate it. So we can say that the usage of the petrol for each respondent is general for everyone and not related to the status and dependence. Alright, so next I will pass to Hanis Hidayah for explaining more about their fossil fuel-based car analysis.
Thank you, Nashruha, for the introduction about the survey. I am Hani Sidaya with matrix number KII160002. Now, I will proceed with the survey regarding fossil fuel-based car question. As all of us know, most of the cars used in Malaysia are fossil fuel-based. This statement is proven by our survey where 98.2% of the respondents are using fossil fuel car. Next, moving on to the next slide. In this survey, the respondents need to give their opinion for these 5 statements which are related to fossil fuel car. The first statement is, fossil fuel-based car uses energy that is irreversible or known as non-renewable. The second statement is, fossil fuel-based car can cause global warming. And the third statement is, fossil fuel-based car is cheap. The fourth statement is, fossil fuel-based car is efficient and easily accessible. And the fifth statement is, fossil fuel-based car produce more carbon waste. The statement choices given are agree, disagree, and also I don't know. Now, I will discuss about the analysis of the survey that has been mentioned in the previous slide. Based on the results, 88% of the respondents agreed that fossil fuel car uses energy that is irreversible. This means that they know that there is a finite amount of fossil fuel. Next, 92% of the respondents agreed that fossil fuel car can cause global warming, which means that only 5% are don't know and 3% are disagree about this statement. This tells us that majority of the respondents are aware about the effects of fossil fuel car to the environment. As all of us know, fossil fuel are not green source of energy. Okay, next, 70% of the respondents also agreed that fossil fuel car is cheap. Those who are agreed with this statement know that fossil fuel car is affordable as compared to other type of car. Based on the results of the survey, 89% of the respondents agreed that fossil fuel car produce more carbon waste. This shows that most of the respondents know that fossil fuel car emits carbon dioxide to the environment. Last but not least, 77% of the respondents agreed that fossil fuel car is efficient and easily accessible. This is because it is convenient and easy for us to fill the fuel, as gas stations can be found almost everywhere. Next will be presented by Kamaria.
Thank you, Hanis, for that. I'm Kamaria, KII160004, and I will be presenting questions on the survey that is related to electric vehicles. So before we go any further in asking the respondents regarding electric vehicle, the very first question that we ask is whether they know about electric vehicles or the respondents are aware about the existence of these type of vehicles. So based on the result in the pie chart, we can see that around almost 89.1%, which is quite high, they know about electric vehicle. Just a small fraction of them put maybe regarding electric vehicles. The following questions are, we gave them a total of 5 statements, and the statements choices given are either agree, whether they don't know, or they disagree. So the first statement that we ask is, electric cars are better for the environment. Second one is, electric cars can replace regular cars, which is in this case is fossil fuel cars, in terms of satisfying consumer needs. The third one is, electric cars can save money on fuel costs. The fourth one is, electric cars are very expensive. And the last statement that we put is, electric cars are not relevant in Malaysia, just to see what the views on electric cars specifically in our country, Malaysia. So based on the results from the statements, 90% of the respondents agreed that electric vehicles is better for the environment. This is due to the fact that electric cars can reduce air pollution, it uses renewable energy, and the production is mostly made of eco-friendly materials. However, only 61% agreed that electric cars can replace regular cars in terms of satisfying consumer need, meaning that some of the respondents they still opt for fossil fuel cars, and they think that fossil fuel cars are a much better option in satisfying consumer need. For example, in terms of transportation, obviously they choose to use fossil fuel car in compared to electric cars. Next is just 40% agree that electric cars are relevant in Malaysia. This may be due to the fact that all the factors that needs to be considered in using electric cars specifically in Malaysia, which is maybe due to the prices, due to their barely existing infrastructure and support, limited charging stations, meaning that you need to consider the charging stations when you are traveling across states, or even the lack of awareness that some of them they don't know the benefits that comes with electric vehicles, that they think that electric vehicles are not that relevant in Malaysia. So the next slides will be presented by my friend Farisha, which will talk about the factors that need to be considered in buying electric cars.
Thank you, Kamaria. I'm Nur Farisha binti Zulkafli, KII 160024, and I will be presenting about the factors to be considered in buying electric car. In this survey, we list out 7 factors that might be the main consideration for the respondents if they are planning to buy electric car. The first factor is the purchasing cost. This is the most crucial factor to look into because people will make the price comparison before buying a car, and since it is more expensive than fossil fuel car, this factor is expected to be the main concern for the respondents in buying electric car. The second factor is the maintenance cost, where some might think that they can reduce their expenses on the maintenance since it doesn't use internal combustion engine, while some might think that the maintenance will be higher since it uses large and complex rechargeable battery. The third factor is the healthy environmental effect. Regarding this factor, we want to collect the data on how many people that actually concerned on the effects of transportation towards the environment. The fourth factor is the charging station. Do they concern on the accessibility to charge their electric cars when they purchase it? Will the availability is same as petrol pump station? We want to see whether these things will be the factors of consideration or not in buying electric car. Next, the fifth factor is the driving range. Would they focus on the travel distance of the electric car? The sixth factor is the car speed limit. Do the respondents consider how fast the electric car can go? And the last factor is the government incentive. Basically, this factor is to observe whether the respondents will consider the purchasing of electric car if the government incentive are available, so that the high cost of electric cars can be slightly reduced to make it more affordable. Moving on to the next slide, the graph shows the result obtained from 110 respondents. As you can see, the purchasing cost obtained the highest percentage, which is 89%, which shows that this factor has become the main concern among the respondents, followed by the maintenance cost, charging station, driving range, healthy environmental effect, government incentive, and the least percentage obtained is the car speed limit, which is 39.4%. Next, after having the opinion from the respondents regarding the factors to be considered in buying electric cars, we would like to know their consideration in buying electric cars when they have extra money. From the pie chart, the percentage of the respondents said yes, and maybe in the future as I have other priorities are same, which is 46.4%. If we combine these two decisions, we will obtain 92.8%, and this shows that majority of the respondents are really interested to have their own electric cars, whether as soon as possible or in the future. However, there is only 7.3% of the respondents that would not consider to have electric cars, as they still want to use fossil fuel cars. Now, I will pass to my friend Suhana for the conclusion.
Hi, my name is Suhana, and I will proceed with the last question from this survey that we conducted, which sounds, in your opinion, would you prefer electric cars compared to a fossil fuel cars? So among 110 respondents that answered our survey, 63 people responded yes, they prefer electric cars compared to fossil fuel cars. 38 people responded no, they don't prefer electric cars compared to fossil fuel cars, and 9 people answered with ambiguous answers. So from the 63 people that responded yes, they say they prefer electric cars more than fossil fuel cars, is because electric cars is more environmental friendly. It does not harm the earth, the environment. And also, they also say it holds futuristic value. Well, this is because EV use renewable energy which will not be used up one day like fossil fuel, which will be used up one day because it's non-renewable energy. Many of them also answered with condition that they prefer electric cars compared to fossil fuel cars, with condition if it's affordable, if it's relevant, if it's easily accessed in the country. So moving on with the ambiguous answers. So 9 people answered ambiguous answers. They say maybe, depends, I don't know yet, no preference, need further research, and 1 people say that need to be more rational in choosing cars. So she did answer yes or no. So yeah, ambiguous. And moving on with the people that responded no. So 38 people say they don't prefer electric cars compared to fossil fuel cars because they say it's because it's not a norm in Malaysia. It's not a norm in our country. It's irrelevant. It's because the driving range of EV cars is limited. They're afraid of the charging stations being limited in the country. If they have to travel far, they're afraid that the car would, lost its energy and stuck before getting to their destination. So they're worried about that, and they are comfortable with using fossil fuel cars. So they don't find it very exciting to use EV. And some of them answered because fuel cars have higher power, they're easily accessible more than EV cars. Because EV cars is more expensive, they're worried about the spare parts being hard to catch up, hard to maintain, and they think that this EV cars implementation needs more research to be a norm in Malaysia. So overall, I think that most people that are considering to buy, they consider about the price. If the government give the incentive, if they can afford it, if the price range isn't so different from fossil fuel cars, maybe they would prefer EV cars. Also, aside from financial issues, they think that charging stations is also worrisome. They're worried if it's unavailable in out of town, because it would not be convenient of it if they can't use it out of town, So yes. Overall, I can say is
is that the government actually plays quite a role to implement the EV cars, the usage of EV cars in our country. If the government give incentives, if the government take care of the charging stations all over the country, then maybe people will choose EV cars more than fossil fuel cars. So I'm saying that the usage of EV cars is inevitable. We all have to use it one day because fossil fuel will be used up as it is a non-renewable energy. So we all have to shift to EV cars one day. So yeah, the government plays quite a role in this. They have to start, they have to, give as example to the people. And I just could say that from this survey that we conducted, actually many people are aware of the importance of EV cars, that it uses renewable energy, that we all have to use this type of cars, but just for some conditions. If it's affordable, if it's relevant, and if it's easily accessed, then I'm sure many people would choose EV cars than fossil fuel cars. So that's all from me and my friends. So thank you. Goodbye.